welcome back to TCG Inform. So within the last video, I showed off a Kuzan deck for May of 2026. For this video, I will be showing off a Donquixote Rosinante deck profile, one of my favourites from Op12. Its ability is once per turn, if your Trafalgar Law would be KO'd, by your opponent's effect, you may add one card from your life to your hand, or KO'd in general actually. An active main once per turn. Don -1, the next time you play a Trafalgar Law with a cost of 4 or more from your hand, reduce its cost by 2, so you can play a 4 cost for a 2 cost, 6 cost for 4, etc. Now for this video, I will be of course showing off the deck list, an advantage, a disadvantage, and the guide will be different to how I've simulated the Sanji and the Kuzan deck profiles from the last two videos. And that'll be shown later. So without further ado, let's jump right in. You up here, actually. So for our 1 costs, we play 4 copies of Op12-108 Donquixote Rosinante, and 4 copies of Op09-069 Trafalgar Law. For our 2 costs, we play 4 copies of Op09-079 Beppo. We jump straight to 4 costs with Structure Deck 10-110. 010, by the way, it's just Structure Deck 10-010, Trafalgar Law. 3 copies of Promo-088, Trafalgar Law. 3 copies of Op06-076, Hitakiri Kamazo. Sorry if I butchered that. 1 copy of Structure Deck 10-008, Shachi and Penguin. 4 copies of Op12-112, Baby 5. For our 5 cost, we are playing 3 copies of Op05-074 Eustace Captain Kidd, and 3 copies of Op05-070 Franosuke. For our 6 costs, we are playing 3 copies of Op12-106 Trafalgar Law, and for 7 costs, we are playing 4 copies of Op12-073 Trafalgar Law, and 4 copies of Op10-119 Trafalgar Law. Let's get into events. For events, we are playing 3 copies of Op13-076 Divine Departure, 1 copy of Op06-115 You're the One Who Should Disappear. For 1 costs, we are playing 2 copies of Op12-115 I Love You, and 1 copy of Op14-078 Bullet String. Now on to advantages. For advantages of this deck, you can play defensively and offensively, thanks to you having big blockers like the Op12 blocker law, the starter deck 10 law, and the Op10 law. Being able to heal you and be 2 really good chunk blockers, as well as good counter, as just good 1k counter. This has none, but for a good reason. They can also be just high caliber attackers if you need them to. Disadvantages, this deck can be pretty slow, or at least this version of the deck is pretty slow and is not really friendly to new players. So if you're a new player, I wouldn't recommend picking this up. But yeah, advantages, this deck can go defensively and offensively. Disadvantages, this deck can go pretty slow within the meta right now. Now for the guide. Now for this version of the guide, I'm going to, for each Don turn, I'm going to show what will be the optimal play for the sort of build and how the board will look like every other turn. More than likely, I'll go through every turn. So let's go right in. So this deck wants to go second, so we're going to grab our 2 Don, and we are going to put 4 into our life. For the first turn, you want to have, at least with your 2 Don, your really optimum is a Trafalgar Law and a Rosinante on board that want to search, either one of them want to search the 4 cost Law from starter deck 10. If any of them search that, then you can just search another Trafalgar Law, preferably a 7 cost such as our Secret Wrath, or our 6 cost, if you find either one. Now, for our 4-Don turn, let's say you found the blocker law. You just, if you have an extra searcher, do play it. If you don't, Don -1, pay 2 for said law, and then leave the extra Don up for any counter events you may have. Now, and attack with your leader, of course. Now, let's say you've already taken a few hits. You probably will have taken at least one. On your 5-Don turn, technically, since it is, you want to pay 4 and play out Eustace Captain Kidd. Really good blocker. It's going to be good for your 5-6 Don turn. You then will use your ability, Don -1, and Kidd will bring it back. So then you have an active for any counter events or an extra searcher if you would like to. Then on your 7-Don turn, you can play out, if you found any of them, either of these two. If not, you can play out some low costs, or you can use your Don for attacking if you would like to. But let's say we did find one of these two laws. If you found your 6-cost law, you will, well, either one of these will have the effect of just use your leader's ability, Kidd bring back the Don, and then just pay -2 for either of them. And if you had the blocker law, play it. If you didn't and you had the 7-cost law, you play the 7-cost law for 5 and put a supernova into your life, such as 6-cost, if you think it's more worth at that time. Alright, and now for your 9-Don turn, which will be the final turn we are showing, for your 9-Don turn, you will more than likely have enough you will more than likely have in your hand through rapid drawing or life taking, etc. You will have at least probably one of your 2 7-cost laws, a few 2Ks, and a 6-cost in this law. You will more than likely have another 6-cost law that may or may not be in your life or not. So with either one of these laws, you do not want to play out the purple 7-cost law yet. Let's say you have both 7 costs. You do not play out this law until this one's out, because this will then give a good buff and will be really helpful. This one will not. This one will be helpful to play out and then play this on your next turn if you get it next turn. But we're going to play defense. If you're offensively, you pay 7, leaving 2 up actually. You pay 6. Yeah, you pay 7 to just play out that law on its own. If you want to Don -1, Kidd bring it back, and then pay 3, then still play it. You're still, if you use your Don -1, you're then just paying, I think, you're paying that much. But then you still have, either way, you will not be able to play out another law that turn unless you have a 4-cost blocker. You use it, you regen, supernova, and then you attack. And then for your final Don turn, at 10, you just try and go Haymaker. If your opponent's life is low enough, you go Haymaker. You Don -1, Kidd bring it back, you pay 5 to play out. Well, no, you Don -1. Your 7-cost law, you would have hopefully lost your Kidd. So you would have Don -1, Kidd will not bring it back, you pay 5. For this Trafalgar law, you gain a Don active, all your laws and Rosinantes gain plus 1,000. You then put, since it's at 3,000, you put all your Don here, and you just try blitz them. If it doesn't work, you will probably die unless your life is tanky enough, like we have here. That's how it is. But yeah, in short, if this was a bit confusing to you, in summary, you want to, on your early turns, play defensively, play out blockers, play on defense, and go to at least 2 life before you start actually countering and blocking. And on late turns, you want to have your kid blocker gone, or at least have 2 Don left to play out your 7 cost to gain their advantage and try go for game. So, yeah, hopefully that was good for all of you. Hopefully that was informative enough. And I will see y'all in the walk.